Good morning. It's time for Two Guys on Sports. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson. Good morning, Larry.
Morning, Dick. And, we're into it. Second half. We're getting into the second half for both the boys and girls for basketball. And we wrapped up the girls' first half of the season in Neillsville with a 7-0 record after that first half.
Yeah, and looking pretty strong in the Eastern Clover Belt, and and playing. They've also played a very good non-conference schedule, which has helped them quite a bit too. But their game with Greenwood was canceled last Friday night. That would have been the start of the second turnaround, and Greenwood is sitting in second place.
I guess they would have to be the surprise team.
I think so. No doubt about it. Coach. You had an interview with Coach Wietrich and talking about how he's pushing his kids to get into summer ball and stuff, and I think it's really paying off. They're nice victory over Loyal Tuesday night.
So. Yeah. It's after they had that double overtime game last week.
Yeah,
and they come back and win. So they are now 6-2 in the Eastern Clover Belt, a half game ahead of Columbus Catholic, who Neillsville travels to play tonight.
Yep, that should be a pretty good game over in Columbus. Columbus always plays well on their own home floor. So
yeah, either boys or girls.
Boys or girls, yeah.
It's always a tough place to play.
Kind of a neat atmosphere over there. So
yeah. All right, so and then in the West, you got McDonald Central leading Fall Creek by a game over in the Western Clover Belt, but McDonald Central played Hudson last night and lost by 1.
Yep, Hudson, very good team in D1. These teams are really moving up in classes. You see that we've seen the other night with Marathon and Marathon boys going up against Mosinee. Going way out of their way to get good and good for McDonald. That's excellent. And it's only going to make them better.
Right. Yep. So the second half of the girls' basketball season getting underway, and Neillsville looking in pretty good shape in that Eastern Clover Belt right now. On the boys' side, the Neillsville boys went up to Spencer on Tuesday night and played pretty well again.
Yeah, pretty. I said first part of the first half of the first half was kind of stagnant. Just couldn't get into rhythm, and then they go into that 3-2 zone with Schultz in the middle and Boyer on one side, Erickson on the other, and it just produces results in a lot of easy transition baskets. And Braylon was kind of the recipient of all this.
Yeah.
He had a 14-point first half, and then the first 7 of the second half, and that's really when the game was really put away. So
yeah, the Warriors come away with that 82-50 win, so they are now 6-1 in the Eastern Clover Belt after the first half of the season.
Yeah, looking good, and with a game against Greenwood tomorrow night at home to start, but then no looking ahead. But next Thursday night over at Marshall Columbus, and hopefully you're a game out going in there, so you can go in there and you played well against them the first time, lost by 9, but that team has improved even more since then. So
yeah, they have really been shooting the ball well.
Yeah, the 3-point shooting is really starting to come around, and it just seems like four guys again last night, Tuesday night, Larry, with double figures, and 2 more guys with 8. The ball, they are really, in some ways, you see it too, they're maybe a little too unselfish.
Yeah, Neillsville,
a little bit, but you just love the way they're playing right now. So.
Yeah, we mentioned it the other night on the broadcast. They lost their first 4, but ever since then.
Yeah. One lost to Columbus, which was by 9, and then that 4 overtime loss over at Auburndale. So, so it's they've really been on spot the last 11 games. So.
Another team that's kind of been on spot, even though they lost to Neillsville, and that last second shot was Colby. They put up some big numbers.
91 points the other night,
wow.
Tuesday night, and Owen put up 82 against them. So.
It ain't too often you put up 82 points
and lose. That kind of hurts, too.
Yeah.
But Mr. Strebler, 41.9. He was fairly, I think he had close to his average against Neillsville, but, Lopez was the big story that night, but Strebler is just dynamite, and right around the free throw line. He either passes or he's got a nice shot from there, and he also shoots 85% from the free throw line. That doesn't hurt either.
And Tuesday night he was 14 of 15 from the free throw line. 41 points for Joseph Strebler of Colby.
So.
All right, so the first half of the boys' season is done. Again, they will start the second half in the Clover Belt Conference coming up on Friday, and we'll have Greenwood and Neillsville on 92.7 WPKG. And tonight, we mentioned Neillsville Columbus Catholic girls. Darren Horn on the broadcast.
Yep, Darren's going to be over there. Good luck to him.
Coach K, I think, is going to be joining him over there. So
another dynamic duo.
Yes. So we'll see how that works out for those
Yeah,
guys.
Coach will have some good tidbits if nothing
Oh yeah.
else.
Oh yeah. All right, and then high school wrestling, NGL back in action again tonight.
Yeah, last week they went up to Spencer Columbus and won a couple of duels against Spencer Columbus at Granton and Thorpe Owen Withy. And then sadly their tournament Saturday at Nakusa was canceled, so you lose some matches there. But they are heading up to Abbotsford tonight for a triangular with Abby Colby, and then they'll get a chance to face off against Regis Altoona. And right now, Regis Altoona is the top team in the Clover Belt, Larry. So
Is that a surprise at all to you?
not really.
Okay.
Because Cadot's down a little bit.
Okay.
The big surprise to me is when they wrestled Cadot, they only beat Cadot by 1 point. I thought they would beat them by more than that. So
Okay.
So Cadot, but Cadot is still Cadot, but they're just not quite as strong. They don't have a state champion in their lineup probably this year. That's the big thing. So
Yeah, you look at the conference standings. Wrestling kind of in the background.
Yeah.
But Nielsville, Greenville, Loyal, and Regis Altoona are both 5-0.
Yeah, so tonight they're going to be wrestling for first place. So, the big thing is there. Where you got your strengths, you win, and of course Nielsville filling out most of the weights, that helps too. So
Right. Yeah.
So
Now, as far as that Nakusa tournament, that's basically lost. then.
that's done.
Okay.
That's done because you're okay. This weekend they're going to Sparta.
Oh, the Sparta tournament.
And then next weekend, they have a tournament scheduled at Wisconsin Dells.
Okay.
And then the week after is conference
Oh, wow.
tournament. So they're
Okay.
they're pretty well done. And then after conference, you go right into regional sectionals. So
Okay. So those matches are lost.
they're lost.
Okay.
So that's too bad.
That's too bad, yeah.
But it's the way. The weather was pretty nasty. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was the whole state.
Yeah, pretty much everything was canceled. Boys and girls hockey. The girls beating Winona the other night, 3-2.
Yep.
Another good win for the girls.
Yeah, and last week they defeated Medford 3-0, and Sydney Magnuson 29 saves in that game. So
Continues to roll.
Yeah.
Continues to roll.
goose eggs are part of her life, I guess. So.
I think tonight was going to be the Cranberry Cup for boys because they are in Toma.
Okay.
Black River Falls Co-op in
Okay.
Toma, but unfortunately with Matt Jorgensen out east
Yeah,
with his new job,
Yeah. It's the way it goes.
I'm not going to try and do hockey on the
No,
radio because it
no,
wouldn't sound
No,
good.
no.
There goes the puck. There goes the puck.
That
there
might
goes
be something for Coach K.
Yeah. But we hope to get maybe we'll get some hockey on this year.
Yeah,
We'll see
it's
what
hard
happens.
to say. So,
Yeah,
but,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So.
With Matt's schedule out
Yeah,
east.
so.
All right, and the Colby High School football team has a new coach.
Yeah,
Boy, they're
Logan
keeping it right in the old family.
Yeah,
there.
Logan Rosemeyer, and I said another generation of Rosemeyer
Yeah.
starting, but you and I were talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers the other night, I think, and about how many coaches they've had in the last since 1970. And
Right.
It's 3.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Colby, this is their 4th coach since 1964.
That's amazing. That is amazing in high
Dwayne
school.
Teska was there from 1964 to 1991. And
Oh, he was there that long.
27 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And Jeff Rosemeyer, 1992 to 2016. And, of course, Jeff was also on Teska's staff, too, before
Sure,
that.
sure.
And then Jim Hagan the last 6 years. And now, so... But
Wow.
one thing Mr. Teska, Mr. Rosemeyer, and Mr. Hagan all have in common is they all have a state championship trophy. In the, so Logan Rosemeyer has something to
He's
wake
got-
up. But he's been on the staff up there.
Yep, 4 years as the defensive
so
coordinator.
he knows what it takes at Colby, and I'm sure most of Coach Hagan's staff will stay with him too. Robbie Smazel, the offensive coordinator, and
imagine.
people like that, I think will stick around pretty good too. So
Yeah, not only is his uncle Jeff Rosemeyer,
Yeah.
but his dad is Robin Rosemeyer
and his
at Gilman.
yeah, and then Uncle Rodney down at Durand.
So yeah, I think he's got a lot of good teachers.
Yeah, so
He should do
he's
pretty
learned-
well.
He's learned the game from a lot of different angles too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
of course played for his dad too.
Sure.
So
Yeah, so he should do
he
pretty
will
well.
do well up there. One thing. There's a lot of things not certain in life, but Colby football is one that you can usually count on. So
All right, the Kruskis, Axel and Ava. We haven't
Yeah.
talked about them in a
No,
while.
but Axel-
because we haven't had any snow.
no,
but
Axel winning a big tournament out in Minnesota last
yeah,
weekend. So.
they were both out there,
Yeah.
and on Friday, Axel raced in the transition 8 to 10 class. There were 27 racers. Didn't do as good on Friday, but then on Saturday, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
he got his first podium,
Yeah.
second place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
that is awesome. So.
And that was at the Amsoil Championship Snowcross Series Nationals. And Ava did pretty well, too. She did, first heat she took first, second heat she took second, and then ended up crashing in the back section of the final and finished in 9th place.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, just the fact that Ava's back racing
right.
is a big win, I think. So,
Yeah.
and good for them.
Yep.
You know, they are such nice kids.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And they're going to be out at Deadwood, South Dakota next weekend, January
Okay.
26th and 27th.
that's a drive.
Trying to find some snow, probably, is what they're trying to do.
Well, you get out farther in the higher elevations, you hopefully find something.
Hopefully find something out there, yeah. All right, where are they now on the show?
Okay, Larry, I am going up to Athens and talk about Jaden Dobbs. And Jaden is a 2012 graduate of Athens High School. He was a 3-year letterman on the Blue Jay football team. His sophomore year, the Blue Jays were 6-5, losing to Owen Withey in Level 2 of the WIA Division 7 playoffs. Jaden carried the ball 22 times that year for 132 yards, and on defense, he had 67 tackles and was an honorable mention selection on the Cloverwood All-Conference team. His junior year, Athens was 7-3 on the season, losing to Edgar in Level 1 of the Division 6 playoffs that year. Jaden had 94 carries for 517 yards and 6 touchdowns, and on defense, he had 86 tackles with 10 TFLs. He was a first-team linebacker on the Cloverwood All-Conference team. His senior year, the Blue Jays were 9-1. They were Cloverwood Conference champions before losing in Level 1 of the Division 6 playoffs to Marathon. Jaden had 90 attempts for 660 yards and 10 touchdowns, and 12 receptions for 105 yards and 1 touchdown. On defense, he had 112 tackles with 12 tackles for losses and 2 fumble recoveries. He was a first-team linebacker on the Cloverwood All-Conference team and Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He was a second-team All-Conference selection at running back and a Channel 7 All-Star on defense and honorable mention All-State. In the winter, Jaden was a 2-year letter winner on the Athens basketball team. His junior year, the Blue Jays were 3-19. Jaden averaged 9.4 points per game and was an honorable mention selection on the Merwood North All-Conference team. His senior year, the Blue Jays were 9-13. Jaden averaged 13 points per game and was a first-team All-Conference selection. In the spring, Jaden was a 3-year letter winner on the Athens baseball team. His sophomore year, the Blue Jays were 14-6, losing to Greenwood in the sectional semifinals. Jaden, starting at first base, batted .310 with 10 RBIs and was second-team All-Conference selection. His junior year, Athens was 11-5, losing in the sectional finals to Rosholt 6-1. Jaden batted .295 with 1 home run and 14 RBIs and was a second-team All-Conference selection. His senior year, the Blue Jays were 16-4, losing in the sectional semis to Pacelli. Jaden batted .320 with 2 home runs, 17 RBIs, and was a first-team All-Conference selection. After graduation, Jaden enrolled at UW-Eau Claire and joined the Blue Gold football team. His freshman year, the Blue Golds were 4-6 on the season. Jaden, playing backup at defensive end, had 2 tackles on the season. His sophomore year, Eau Claire was 2-8 on the season. Jaden, starting at defensive end that year, had 45 tackles, 3.5 tackles for losses, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovery. His junior year, the Blue Golds were 1-9. Jaden had 51 tackles, 10 tackles for losses, and 3 sacks, and was an honorable mention choice on the WIAC All-Conference team. His senior year, the Blue Golds were 0-10. Jaden had 42 tackles, 3.5 tackles for losses, and 2 sacks. For his career at UW-Eau Claire, Jaden had 140 tackles with 17 tackles for losses and 5.5 sacks. Jaden earned his bachelor's degree in physical education in 2018. While finishing his academic work, Jaden played 1 year of professional football in Austria in 2017, leading the league in tackles. He continued his professional career back in the States in various indoor leagues back then on. First playing for the Quad City Steamwheelers and then the Salina Liberty of the Champions Indoor Football League, before finishing his playing career with the Enid, Oklahoma Flying Aces. During his time at Enid, Jaden earned his master's degree in educational leadership from Oklahoma State University in 2022. Today, Jaden is a physical education instructor and athletic director for the Chisholm School District in North Enid, Oklahoma. Jason himself currently resides in Enid, Oklahoma. Jaden Dobbs.
Big boy?
Yeah, about 6'1".
Okay, yeah. Sounded like he was playing a line there. He must have been.
Yeah.
Fairly good.
Yeah,
Good
played on
sized.
pretty good size, and played on some poor Blue Gold teams. But,
Yeah.
but continued playing a lot of football after his
Yeah,
career.
good for him.
Yeah, so
There's always somewhere to play.
yeah, you bet. You just gotta find it.
And there's even some more teams being added around here in those semi-pro leagues.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I hear there's one coming. I think in Chippewa Falls. There's a new one coming.
Even like Cody Craig. Cody Craig played a couple of years down in around the St. Louis area for an arena football team.
Yeah,
too,
right. Yeah.
So guys do get a chance to play if they want to continue and maybe possibly get noticed even someday. But it's far in between.
Well, it can't all be Kurt Warner's.
No.
All right, the Badgers lost their first game in the Big Ten in men's college basketball the other night to Penn State.
Just couldn't get over the hump against Penn State. Every time the Badgers would pull even, Penn State had an answer, and just the way it was all night. So but they have really struggled out at Penn State over the years. That is one place. So, but that was their first conference loss, and they get right back into action tomorrow night, hosting Indiana at the Kohl Center.
You bet.
So.
And the Wisconsin women's basketball team got another look at Caitlin Clark, and
she passed Brittany Griner.
Yeah,
for fourth all time. So, and she's got a lot of season to go to move up that ladder yet. So
yeah, she's got over 3,300 points in her career. Wow, that's a lot of points.
You bet. So
for college basketball,
yes, it is. It's just I've never seen. I haven't sat down and ever watched her play in a game. I've seen a lot of highlights. Just amazing range.
Yeah, I watched her play last year when they played LSU in that championship game. Yeah, she's a good player.
You bet.
You bet. All right, what else? I see Wisconsin former football coach Paul Christ is going to stay in Texas.
Yeah, he's interviewed for a few jobs. He interviewed for the offensive coordinator at Iowa, and that was one that he was really predicted. But they went in a different direction. They went with Joe Philbin there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And that really, you talk about wiping the dust off somebody. I didn't know. I had no idea what was. Didn't know if Joe Philbin was down in Dallas with Mike McCarthy. Maybe I have no idea.
I don't know where he was.
So, but since the last time I'd seen Joe Philbin, he was the interim coach of the Packers after they fired Mike McCarthy. So,
right. Yeah.
So, which I thought was a pretty interesting choice. It really.
Yeah. Christ wasn't that bad. I mean,
no, he's a good offensive mind.
I think a coordinator was where
when he was the Badgers' offensive coordinator under Brett Bielema. That of course, he had Scott Tolzien and people like that,
right.
and also Russell Wilson, and
he
had a lot of weapons. So,
all right, and we'll get to it. The NFL, the playoffs continue, but what a wild card weekend that was.
Yeah, I said, wow, it was just a lot of stuff that, you start off with the Houston-Cleveland game. I thought that would be a pretty close game.
Yeah.
Houston gave them a whipping.
Yeah, and Cleveland had one of the best defenses in the league.
But, I said, the difference, you look at what C.J. Stroud did, and then, Joe Flacco, bless his heart, but back-to-back pick sixes, that just broke the back of any chance of Cleveland coming back, and just stresses that Cleveland may be looking for a quarterback yet. So you never know about their main man coming back.
Watson,
So
with that shoulder injury, you never know.
But then KC over Miami, and of course Miami was a team that kind of was they're not the biggest free for fall of the season, but the second biggest, I think, behind Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They
can't win in the cold.
No, and they had that division in their hands, Larry, and they let it go. And with that went any home field advantage. They got no home field advantage and had to go to the coldest place to play, and that was just not them.
No. Yeah, and then on Sunday. Probably the biggest beatdown was the Packers over the Cowboys.
Yeah, and again, like you and I talked about the other day, the score isn't even indicative of what the game was because the Packers just beat them in all phases.
Yeah.
So there's no ifs, ands, or whats about it. So
it was the replay of that game was on the NFL Network on Wednesday, and I watched it.
Yeah.
I just had to watch it.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I don't think, Larry, you're talking about Jordan Love and the receivers and Aaron Jones, and rightfully so. That Packer offensive line did a tremendous job.
Yeah. You didn't hear anything about Parsons.
Yeah. Jordan Love did not get sacked.
No.
And, Micah Parsons, the only thing he drew all night was a holding penalty.
Yeah.
And that was it, and the more they ran the ball, the hole just kept getting bigger and bigger for Jones. So it just really amazing, that group. because early in the season, there was a lot of injuries and a lot of growing pains, but they've really come together. Rasheed Walker has really solidified left tackle, and then of course Elgin Jenkins coming back, but then John Runyon, but Sean Reese coming off the bench too they've alternated guard. They made that very strong.
And I think that's helped them with that alternating thing.
Absolutely.
It's kept these guys fresher throughout the game.
And Josh Myers has played well at center because there was talk of trying to, probably move Jenkins over to center at one time, and that hasn't happened. And Myers has played well, and then, so it's just amazing how well they played against
7.5 point underdogs.
Yeah,
and they go in and win by 16.
Yeah.
And like you said, it probably wasn't even that close.
No, I said Dallas had 16 points in garbage time.
Yeah, the Packers had their backups.
And the only thing Matt LaFleur said is I probably emptied the bench a little too soon.
A little too soon, yeah.
At least he's man enough to admit it. So.
Yeah. But I think the biggest, the Cowboys probably, but the Eagles.
Yeah, I
mean, they were one of the teams that was favored to go all the way.
10-1 and totally in charge of the Eastern Division, end up not even winning it. And then, too, they got to go on the road. And I watched that game, Larry. I said, what team is this in Philadelphia uniform? Because that's not the Philadelphia team I watched earlier in the season. They were terrible.
No.
And I said, Baker Mayfield, he looked like he did against the Packers. He looked like an All-American. And Grant, he has good receivers.
Yeah.
But I've never been real high on Baker Mayfield himself. But, who's ever got him under control in Tampa Bay, I'm not sure who their offensive coordinator is these days. But they've got him playing the right way, and they're going to be a threat going into Detroit.
Yeah, one of the analysts said on the other day that the Eagles look like a team that was in last place or a 4-win team that was just trying to play out the season.
And I said, one of their last touchdowns, a young wide receiver from Nebraska caught a ball, and Bradbury made a half-hearted tackle. And over the years, I've seen when Packer teams weren't playing well at the end of the season. That's how they tackled in the last game of the season or so.
And this was a playoff game.
Yeah, a playoff game on national television. And Monday night when everybody's watching you too. So
32-9 Buccaneers.
Like you said, I think the coach might be in some trouble there. Who knows?
Yeah.
Obviously, they've lost something there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't either. But so.
And then the Bills beat the Steelers. I don't think that was really any shock there.
No, yeah. Pittsburgh probably just happy. They were like the Packers playing on house money, but Buffalo is playing the best ball in the AFC right now, Larry.
Yeah.
I for my money, and that should be quite a game this weekend with the Kansas City going into Buffalo. So
it's the 7th time that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes have faced each other, and it's currently tied at 3 apiece.
Yeah.
So, but Mahomes has the edge in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well,
Allen hasn't made it to the big game. So
Allen has the edge during the regular season.
So, but they have played really good ball the last half of the season. They were one I had counted out because I thought they were one of the biggest mysteries of the season.
Right.
I think they were sitting at 3-5 at one time, and they come all the way back, win the division, and now they're in the divisional playoffs playing at home yet. So.
All right, so the divisional round coming up this weekend on Saturday. Houston will be at Baltimore at 3:30 on ESPN ABC. A rematch of a game that was played back in Week 1.
Yep.
But Houston's a whole different team now.
Yeah, Houston has a whole different team, and I'll be interested to see how Baltimore comes off a bye.
Right. Yeah.
And same thing with San Francisco. Over the years, I've watched these teams come off byes. Some of them do great, but some of them really come out in the tank. And I've seen the Packers do it. So.
Oh yeah.
So it's.
Then the Packers and the 49ers Saturday night at 7:15 on Fox.
Yep.
10th time these two teams have met in the postseason, the most of any two teams in playoff history.
And San Francisco's had the upper hand lately.
Yeah, they hold a 5-4 edge, but lately
it's been all San Francisco. I said early on it was the Packers, through the Holmgren years.
Yes, the 90s.
But boy, Jim Harbaugh totally turned that around. And then, of course, 2 years ago that game over in Green Bay in the cold, and the Packers had a punt block to lose that game. So,
yeah, and the early line was 10. I see it was 9.5 the last I saw.
Okay.
The 49ers favored. And I know a lot of analysts are saying the 49ers are not going to let the Packers do what they did against the Cowboys. We'll see.
I'll see.
People didn't think they were going to do that against the Cowboys.
Just because they're the 49ers don't mean that it's a stone wall.
Right.
We talked about Micah Parsons. Well, San Francisco has Boza. You know,
Right.
so well, you find a way to handle Boza. You know, it's just it still comes down to me. I think Larry is running the ball. Mm-hmm. They got to keep San Francisco's offense on the bit. And we talked about CeeDee Lamb last week. Well, this week it's Deebo Samuels and George Kittle,
Right.
and of course McCaffrey too.
McCaffrey, the running back.
So, those are
That's
three.
the one thing that San Francisco has better than Dallas is a good running game.
Running back. Yeah, Pollard really
he
didn't
was-
do much, and he said they probably been better off putting Hunter Lupke in my mind.
Probably. Yeah, anybody.
Not too biased, am I?
Yeah, right. All right. Then we got the Sunday games. Tampa Bay is at Detroit. You mentioned that one. Detroit hosting their first divisional round home game since 1992.
Yeah.
I tell you, they had to be rooting for the Packers
Yeah, I think
because
so,
otherwise
too.
they wouldn't have been at home.
Nope. The Packers won them a home game right there.
Yep.
So, and I'll tell you what, quite honestly, Larry, I thought the Rams should have won that game. So
Yeah, they should have.
I think they kicked themselves all the way back to L.A. So,
Yeah.
but good for Detroit, and there's a lot of you love the enthusiasm in these towns that haven't had much lately. So
Right. And Detroit beat Tampa Bay in Week 6.
Yeah, and their offense is playing well.
Yeah.
Their defense to me is still a little suspect, but their offense is going to score points.
And that place is going to be rocking.
It's going to be rocking
Ford
and
Field
rolling.
is going to be loud.
Rocking and rolling. Yep.
Yep,
So-
that's a 2 p.m. game on
Yeah,
NBC
yep.
on Sunday. And wouldn't that be something? Green Bay at Detroit
Right.
for the NFC Championship.
That's where it would be.
Kansas City at Buffalo will wrap up the divisional round Sunday night at 5:30. And as we mentioned, the seventh time the two quarterbacks have met, and the third time in 5 seasons they've met in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But Kansas City now has to go on the road. I think it's the first time that Mahomes has been on the road in the playoffs.
Been a long. Yeah, can't remember him ever being on the play. He's always had Arrowhead.
Yeah, always had home field.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting because that's another.
That'll be another loud place.
Loud place.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so that's what's happening there. As then the two teams will meet for the championship games the following weekend, and on to Super Bowl
on to Super
58.
Bowl. Yep. So, let's talk a little Brewers, Larry.
Yeah. Okay.
How about no arbitrations this year?
That's good news. That's good news.
The one that's Corbin Burns, and there was a lot of issues last
Yep.
year, but they came out and settled him over $15 million. Devin Williams got $7 million. Adamas $12.25 million. Yoel Payamps $1.65 million. Jake Bowers, who came in trade with the Yankees, $1.35 million, and Bryce Wilson who was a very dependable part of their bullpen, got $1 million. So it looks like they're serious about this season. So,
Everything's set to go then.
yeah. So it sounds like they're still talking to Carlos Santana about a return.
Okay.
All
right.
And I've also heard the name Joey Votto get pushed around too. So
So he's going to come out of retirement,
I don't know if he's retired.
or he hasn't retired.
He hasn't retired.
Oh, okay. I thought he did.
But he's not re-upping with the Reds.
Oh, okay.
As
Okay.
far as I know.
Okay. All right. That's what I maybe heard was that
Yeah,
he was
but
leaving the Reds.
he's leaving the Reds, which would be interesting because he's one of the dinosaurs that have played his whole career.
Right. Yeah.
You don't see too many of them anymore.
No,
so,
no.
And he might want to just say that this is it. And so
Yeah.
he's had a lot of injuries the last couple of years, but I thought Santana was a really good fit in Milwaukee after he came over in that trade from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah.
And I think he'd be a very good fit over there. So
And Marshfield's Dalton Varsho, he avoided salary
Did he?
arbitration.
Okay.
Nice little deal for him, $5.6 million.
okay, it's good. He's really etched out. It's funny. His whole life he was a catcher.
Yeah.
And he is and now he's a Gold Glove outfielder.
Yeah.
So he's
Doing
really
well.
made a name. So
Doing well for himself.
yeah, and he hits with some power too. So
Well, it was official earlier this week. USC's Caleb Williams now is
Yep.
going to be in the NFL draft.
so now what do the Bears do?
That's the big debate now.
Yeah, is Fields going somewhere, or it'll be interesting, because he's worth something on the market. You look, we've talked about places like Atlanta, Minnesota, probably, because unless they up with Kirk Cousins again, or
Washington.
there's a lot of places looking for a starting quarterback, and
Yeah.
we'll see, but. I don't know who else is towards. I haven't looked at many draft boards, but I'll tell you what, Caleb Williams is a fit. So
Yeah. And now it's just whether the Bears trade that pick or keep it.
can
Number
they
one.
they could trade down and really make a haul too.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
they fired Luke Getsy, their offensive coordinator. So I don't know if that's says they're moving in a different direction. So I don't know.
And a bunch of NFL teams, of course, interviewing for coaching jobs.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything yet.
Dan Quinn had an interview with Seattle, and Belichick has had interviews with Atlanta, and Harbaugh has had an interview with Atlanta. It seems like Atlanta's moving pretty fast.
Yeah. Nothing yet as far as announcing any.
No hires that I've
hires,
seen yet.
no.
But there's coordinators on some of these teams that are going to lose this weekend. They're going to get interviews and stuff like that.
Sure.
And Washington, they moved to get a general manager in first.
Okay.
And they hired an assistant to John Lynch from San Francisco. They hired one of his assistants as a general manager.
Okay.
So, and then he'll have pretty much have the say in a head coach then too. So.
All right. Well, we'll see how things progress.
It's just pretty interesting part of, not as interesting as the games though. So.
Right. Yes. No. All right. We got girls basketball tonight. Neilsville at Columbus Catholic.
Yeah, good luck to Darren and Coach on that one. So
7:15 on 92.7 WPKG, and we'll be in Neilsville for Greenwood Neilsville boys tomorrow night, also on 92.7 WPKG. That'll wrap it up for Two Guys on Sports for this week. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson.
We'll talk to you again next week.